All right, welcome back to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and
this is Steve.
Outdoor Steve.
Outdoor Drive Steve. That's just too much to throw in an intro for me.
Yeah, I guess so. So you like OD Steve?
Yeah, ODG, ODS.
ODS. So, oh man, I'm glad that we were able to do this podcast. I know yesterday was kind of one of those things, especially for me. I mean, with everything going on, I have no fucking power. I have no internet. I have no nothing. I'm actually, I'll paint the picture. I'm actually sitting down at the local boat launch, sitting on my cell phone in my car to podcast tonight. I know we're a day late and $1 short, but we needed to get this podcast in. So that's what we did to make it and compromise to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't think our guest today is going to care.
No, I don't think he's going to give a shit.
Well, technically, I guess you would be the guest because you're calling in.
I guess so. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we'll go with that. This is going to be a Trev episode.
Is that what it is?
Hurricane Trev.
Hurricane Trev. Yeah, that thing swiped through, man, and beat us up something fierce. Because I was asking you, I was like, so how was it down there for you? And you were like, oh, it's not even that bad. And I was like, oh, I said it should hit us pretty soon. It doesn't look like it's going to be that bad. Well, come to find out with it, it's the worst power outages that we've had in 10 years here in Connecticut.
Yeah, you guys kind of took it straight to the eye, though.
Oh, my God. It's crazy. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, we were so far up the coast, or inland from the coast, I should say, that honestly, it was a beautiful, probably 14-hour light rainstorm, and we needed it. No wind, no heavy pressure, no runoff, no flooding, just that perfect rainstorm.
It's nuts.
No, you're good.
Okay. It's nuts because, like, we honestly, we didn't get that much rain. We literally had like no rain.
So you guys just got the wind damage.
Yeah, the wind was bad. I mean, it was like 60 to 80 mile an hour winds here. I don't know actual like defined windage here, but it was not good. Not good at all.
Surprised you guys didn't try to go out and go fishing in it.
No. They canceled a lot of our trips here. But for the most part, we were supposed to fish tomorrow, shark fishing, but we had a big cancellation, so we're actually not shark fishing, which is fine. Give us more time to do some other stuff, but the seas have kind of laid down here, and fishing's kind of going back to normal.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least the boats made it for the most part. Minor damages, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, there was minimal damage, especially in the marinas. I had taken a ride down there. The workboat Cess, sport fishing, we had lost a stern line. The marina had replaced it, but we actually fixed it, and we're back to normal. There was a 20 to 21 foot trophy in the marina that sunk and capsized right in the marina bay. So
yeah, I saw that.
That was not good at all.
That was wild. You sent it to me. It was like, oh, dude, no kidding. That sucks.
Yeah, and that seems to happen sometimes. Like if the lines are too tight and it gets water in it, or the pumps can't keep up if it takes it over the back. Those things happen. I mean, that's part of it. That's what you have insurance for. It sucks. I mean, it's one of those things. Like it's almost one of those things that like some people will be happy about it because they're like, oh, screw it. Whatever, I lose the boat insurance. But on the other case, it's like, I don't know, my pride and joy is underwater. Now I got to figure it out, I'd be more concerned about my fishing gear in the boat than the boat. I think I would be thankful if my boat sank, to be honest with you. I would take it. I'd take the money and buy a new boat. I think I'd be all right with it. So
yeah, but luckily it's right there in the marina, so the recovery of it shouldn't be too bad.
No, No, they have to. When that happens, I mean, a lot of times you get fined and stuff, and you have to airbag it to get it up and
Right.
suck it out, all the water out. So you do get fined. Actually, funny story. Last week, was it last week or the week before? We had really bad fog, and there was actually a boat that was a charter boat, a big Cabo party boat, charter boat, and in the fog, and he had his radar on 200, or was it 2 miles? He had it on 2 miles. I'm sorry. He had it on 2 miles, which you can't see shit when it's at 2 miles. Everything looks so small on the radar.
Right.
And he actually had hit a commercial vessel and took out the front of it and sunk it. Well, they were a lobster boat, commercial lobster boat. Well, they were actually going to fine the guy in the lobster boat $65,000 if he didn't airbag and get the vessel out of the water.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy because a lot of times that goes on the insurance of, the person that's, that hit them or whatever, but they have to actually front the money to have it pulled out because of, the gas and everything else.
Environmental standards.
Which is all, I mean, it's kind of crazy though,
I get it, but there's a big difference between a ship going down and recovering it and somebody blowing up an oil well. Just saying.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I mean, like, these guys were in the it was pea soup fog, and literally, if the guys weren't paying attention to the radar on the commercial vessel, they probably would be dead now. They were paying attention and they saw him coming across. He was full tilt, cruise control, 2 miles out and on his radar, and literally took out the front of the commercial vessel. If those guys weren't paying attention on the commercial vessel, they probably, like I said, would probably be dead. They actually abandoned ship, jumped off, and they lived unscratched. And they hit it right in the wheelhouse.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. I mean, like, the fog is one of those things that, like, really scares the shit out of me being on the water. Like, I literally will go out late and not, and just wait for the fog to lift. That's one of my biggest things, especially I don't have radar on my boat. So, like, I get really worried about fog because fog's dangerous and a lot of people don't pay attention in fog.
Right.
But it's fucking nuts.
You guys and your damn crazy ass fishing stories and I don't know. People just don't get it.
And the ocean's one of those things that, like, you really need to. It can change in a matter of seconds. Mother Nature is one of the scariest things. I mean, it's just so powerful when it comes to tides and winds and what she actually can do. I mean, we were talking about it the other night when we went down to the marina. Was there's nothing that stops water. So, like, the power of the wave in the water, like, there's nothing that stops it. It's literally uncontrollable.
No, it's the most destructive element in the world.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. And people just take that shit for granted. I mean, we lose people every single year to different things in the ocean, different fishermen and stuff, just to that, or duck hunters. We lost some duck hunters a couple of years ago, rest their souls. In duck hunting, and they actually took on too much water and they capsized the boat and they got hypothermia and died. So,
well,
those things do happen.
It's funny you bring that up because just before the storm hit up here, got some information from a friend of mine that a guy had just bought a 18-footer and they went out into the Chesapeake for the first time as, the beginning of the storm surge was coming in because they wanted to try the boat out. And he had, one, he didn't have any licensing, didn't have a lot of experience, and he had his twin brother and 2 friends with him. And it had a flat front deck, and the 3 of them were out on the front as they're cruising down the bay in, 4 or 5 footers. And they ended up hitting, they don't know if it was something rogue or what, but basically slammed the boat, knocked the 3 of them off. They went down and never came back up.
Oh my God.
And this was, like I said, right before the storm came. So Coast Guard and all of them, search and rescue, divers, and the storm hit within a day or so and they had to call it off.
Was it on the river?
It was up in the bay. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's just one of those things that, even when you're on a section that was maybe 200 feet wide at the mouth, way up high into the bay, you just never know with water, especially if you're not familiar and you're screwing around. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, like, and that's the other thing about like we fish a lot at night. Yeah, fishing at night is one of those things. I mean, like, you get a log across the sound or whatever that's floating around, especially with like a lot of the moon tides. They'll sweep in a lot of things from the rivers, and you'll be flying 25, 30 knots across the ocean and hit that, and that's the end of it. Rip the motor off, whatever. I mean, it'll kill you. So it's one of those things that you just kind of got to be careful of. Big waves. I mean, we were talking about it when we had Kyle Kaufman was up here with a good friend of his, Alex, and they're like, "Oh man, your boat gets on plane quick." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's a very important thing out here in the ocean, because when the waves kick up, the worst thing to happen is that your boat can't make it up a wave." Because what ends up happening is it ends up getting the water over the backside of it, and when that happens, it will literally suck your boat right in. And that's the end of it. When you flood up a boat, I mean, that's the end of it. When you can't make it up a wave, so you got to have the power, not only the speed but the power. When you're messing with big waves like that.
Yeah, you can keep that.
It's great. I mean, it's just and it's not like something to scare anybody, but it's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
Oh yeah, it's that constant.
Definitely happen.
Anytime you're on the water, you got to be paying attention. I mean, it's no different than going down the river in the kayak. A day like today, right after the rain, something that may have been a class 1 is potentially a class 4 because the water's up 4 feet.
Uh-huh.
If you're not paying attention, you come around the corner, just do, and now all of a sudden you're in something you're not used to. It catches you by surprise.
And we can really change in a matter of a minute. Well, man, do you think that we should probably thank the people that make this all possible before the things get a little out of hand here? Because our guests are a little crazy.
Yeah, well, no one said they were smart. Yeah, man. Yeah. Go ahead and run them off, and let's see if you can you do this off the top of your head.
All right, let's do it. Let's start with Out on the Limb Manufacturing. Out on the Limb Manufacturing.com. So it's Out on a Limb MFG.com. Matt Garris made sure to let me know that you have to add the manufacturing at the end of it. Those guys are the mobile hunting hubcap, we'll call them. They are the center of all mobile hunting when it comes to videos. Their sticks, platforms, you name it, they got it over there. I was messing around today with the new sticks and the new platform. I'm super pumped for this season. We went in and set up some stuff, but we brought those in with us. The new Shikar sticks, they are light and they're something else. D&M Custom Arrows, dnmcustomarrows.com. Make sure to check them out for all of your custom arrow needs, from traditional to compound to just fancy shit you want to put on the wall. So go and check out the big burly ginger over there. Also, Bowfishing Magazine, bowfishingmagazine.com. If you guys haven't subscribed already, make sure to get over there and subscribe. They got a huge online magazine to watch, and it's all interactive online. So bowfishingmagazine.com for you guys there. Wicked and Twisted Bowstrings. Use promo code OutdoorDrive10 to save yourself 10% on Wicked and Twisted Bowstrings. I know the season's coming up fast. Now's the time to get new strings. Get jellified over there at Wicked Twisted Bowstrings. Broadside Camo. BroadsideCamo.com. Use promo code OutdoorDrive. So when you buy what is that one for?
$45. Spend $45 and you get something free with your order, whether it's gloves or a mask or something like that.
A hat. I just want to make sure you weren't sleeping.
I got you.
Broadside Camo is photorealism camouflage. They got the new saddle hunting sweatshirt. They got the jackets, the bibs, you name it, they got it for that when it comes to aerial hunters. So go and check them out, broadsidecamo.com. Wild Edge Inc., the leader in mobile hunting when it comes to your perch, your aiders, your swaders, all your ropemans, your linesmans, your wild edge steps. They actually are in the process of working with Out on the Limb that just released this week. Not on the market yet, but there's some teasers out there. The perch now has the podium and ridge runners bracket for mounting on the tree. So something worth checking out. If you guys haven't seen that already, get over to wildedgeinc.com. I think it's on their social media, Wild Edge Inc., on Instagram and Facebook. Last but not least, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Nor'easter Game Calls, the best in game calls. Get them in close. All of your calls for all your hunting across the board, whether it's squirrel calls to some of your big game calls, custom knives, custom grunt calls, go on there, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Check them out. They have the new Evo series, but I was actually talking with Mark the other day, and I think we're going to do something we're going to even put a twist on it even more, and we're going to have a new release of some new grunt calls coming out. I know there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to it. I had a couple of different phone calls with a couple of different people that are looking forward to the new Evo series that comes out. I don't want to release too much, but Mark will very, very soon. So those are the guys that help us, that make this all possible, so you guys can listen to us idiots talk on the daily. So thank you to you guys.
Nice. Well done.
I guess so. I did have a notepad for this one, so.
Oh, I was sitting here taking note. I was actually checking to see if you hit them all. I was like, all right, yeah, he's on it.
No, I have a little notepad I made sure to grab before I left.
Nice. So. Well prepared.
Oh, yeah, but so I'll tell you this. Today was one of the craziest days ever. We've been trying to get cameras in for a couple of days now. We actually got the Cuddy-back link system. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I'm running a couple of them at work, doing some monitoring with them.
Oh, okay, yeah. And, so what's your thoughts on them?
Biggest downfall, number one downfall that I've ran into is they run on D batteries, and the home camera burns batteries like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
I did, for instance, one of the home cameras in a 7-day period. Of course, we're taking a lot of pictures rapidly. So in a 7-day period, I think we had like 11,000 pictures transmitted. And Jesus. The home camera burned through the batteries in 7 days. But in the woods, I don't foresee that being the same circumstance, because if you're getting that many photos, then you're probably on somebody's deer farm and you shouldn't be looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we were at with it. Like, we were talking about it because we actually just ordered. So we have the Cuddy-back system, the link system, but we also just got 10 spy points. And we were talking about it, like, do we really need unlimited photos and downloads? No, because honestly, we could do 250 photos a month for the $4 or whatever it is per camera and still be fine. Because 250 photos is a lot of photos. And that's only photos downloaded and transmitted. They still take them on the SD card.
Yep.
Even if we went up to 1,000, if you had 1,000, you're somewhere that you probably don't even need a fucking camera for. Let's just be honest.
Right. You just kind of show up and apparently they're going to be there.
Yeah, right. So it's one of those things, like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you need unlimited, but no, you really don't. Especially when it comes to that, because that's a lot of camera. That's a lot of photos. And a lot of times, I mean, we're on public land where we're hunting, so we don't have, we're not over bait. We're more in like travel corridors where it's a couple of deer moving in the morning, a couple of deer moving at night. So we really don't need transmission of a ton.
Right. Well, I do got one question that comes with that due to some recent changes. So I know out here where we are, chances of us taking a booner are slim to none. But what are your thoughts on the fact that Boone and Crockett just said they will no longer accept anything that's taken using cellular cameras? You know, because you may get that once in a lifetime buck, but if you're an honest, ethical hunter and you used a cell cam, you can't submit it. What are your thoughts?
See, so my thing on this is like, I'm really not worried about that. I mean, yeah, it sucks, and I get it and I understand it. But the thing is, like, we don't use our cell cameras on instant. So, like, ours only download the pictures once a day, if that. Right. So, like, I don't understand, to me, like, how that is not fair chase. Fair chase. So they're saying, Boone and Crockett's saying that that's not fair chase if you use a cell camera when it comes to that.
Right. See, and right?
That's what they're saying. I'm asking.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're saying it's not fair chase. And I think this derives back to the people who go, I've got, a camera on this trail a quarter mile away in multiple places with tree stands set up. So I get an instant picture. Hey, that deer's at this location. So if I run out real quick and get here, he's going to walk by. Right. That's what I think they're targeting. There is a ton of gray area, and I've gone through their website and looked through the way they wrote it up. And I'll put it this way. It is gray. So unless they are just saying flat out, if you have a cell camera, you can't submit, they're missing a lot of conversation in there. Because what's the difference of like using a cell camera right now to scout? You can't kill on it. I mean, you can, right. But we won't go down that road. So my thing with this is, and that's fine. So if I can't be in the book because of me using a cell camera, that's fine. That's not going to stop me from using one. And if I can't register a deer in a Boone and Crockett or Pope and Young, then that's fine because I'm using cell camera, because I don't do it to put my name in the book. I do it for the satisfaction of myself, not for anybody else. I mean, I would love to have a book buck, but if that's going to be one of the reasons that stop me, I'm not going to not use it, because I think that's a tool that's a very helpful tool as far as not going into those bedding areas. Because a lot of times, I mean, we're 50 to 100 yards away from a bedding area when we're setting cameras. So right. I don't want to keep going in there weekly. I don't want to go in there at all. And I think that it's one of those things that if that's what's going to stop me from putting a book deer in a book, then I don't think that it's going to look just as good on the wall regardless, and it's going to taste even better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm with you there 100%. I just wanted your opinion.
Yeah, no. And I think that, like there's been a lot of things. So is that just Boone and Crockett, or is that Pope and Young also?
From what I'm seeing right now, it is only Boone and Crockett, but I'm really interested to see if Pope and Young is going to follow suit and come up with similar restrictions. So I'll keep an eye out on that. And if anything ever does come to fruition, then we'll try to kick it out.
It's just one of those things, though. I mean, like they did the same thing with the lighted knock. They did those things. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a ton of different things that. Oh yeah. That they've used.
Anytime new technology comes out, they put a ban on it until they can actually prove and understand a point. Enough people come in with scenarios so they can write out the gray areas and say, you cannot use it if you kill it by using the camera to notify you to go to your stand. That's really the only thing that I see being unethical.
So this is one of those things too, is it's all on an honor system, right? When it comes to the whole Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett. So you just say, yes, I shot this at this time. They have like a questionnaire for you, right?
Right.
So, we don't so it's just kind of like if anybody, so even if they use a cell camera, they could just say, no, I didn't use a cell camera. And then it goes on like that.
Right. Nobody's going to investigate it. It's going to come down to pure honesty and integrity of the person submitting, which we get that. And we know people are entering stuff throughout the year illegally, but they're not going to say it so they can get their name in a book because that's what they're after. I get that. But same scenario here. What's going to stop someone from just saying no? But
on the same aspect, with the rules and regulations like Pope and Young or Boone and Crockett. So, for example, Pope and Young, I know for a fact, is you're not allowed to use a bow that's over a certain speed.
Right.
You're not allowed to use a bow that's over a certain draw length. I mean, not draw length, a certain poundage.
Yep.
So really, in all honesty, I think that there's a lot of us that have entered deer into the book that we've – I mean, not me personally. I've never entered a buck into the book.
I was going to say, you got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah. I was going to say – so I haven't personally, but I know a ton of people that have, and they've been over the poundage or over the speed. That makes it fair.
See, and again, I think that comes down to that being a stipulation that was put in, a clause that was put in a good ways back, and it should be reevaluated to take into account modern technology.
Well, not even that.
Slowest bows are close.
Well, look at this, right? So a lot of that this is the same thing when they came out with compound bows, right? Because they didn't want compound bows because it's not fair, right? They wanted the traditional bows in there, right? And then now we have the compounds, and everybody's against the crossbows. So crossbows can't be registered in a Pope and Young situation yet.
Right.
But some of our bows are just as fast as fucking crossbows.
Oh, yeah. With my target setup on this bow, even at 60 pounds, I'm shooting faster than most crossbows you can get at Walmart.
Right.
So you say you're sitting right around that 300 mark, and I'm talking, very entry level simple crossbows, not some of the higher end stuff that claim 400
not a
feet per second
Raven or whatever. Yeah.
So something Joe Duffy is just going to walk down and go buy because it's cheap and get that for $200. My bow is going to shoot just as quick. So
absolutely. Yeah. So so if you shoot a Pope and Young, bear, or whatever, it's not technically supposed to be able to be registered. So it's one of those things. Those things have to go back through as technology progressively goes on.
Right. Now, I can understand that, say you shoot a 300 plus inch buck or a new state record. I can see them actually coming in and getting a little bit strict to say, can they, confirm, is it a new legal state record? But even then, it's wishy-washy. You got a lot of gray area.
Right. I totally agree with you. And I mean, at that point, then, whatever. And really, I mean, let's be honest, okay? And I'm all about Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett for the management of the deer, and that's what it was planted for, and that's what it was made for, and all that stuff. And I'm all for it 110%, and I think it's great. But a lot of us have the goal of shooting a Pope and Young deer. But really, what do you really gain by that? Your name gets to go in a book.
Right.
Is that really what you're doing it for? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing it for your self-satisfaction, or are you doing it for everybody else to make yourself look good, to have your name in the book?
Yeah, a lot of the times that is the case. The offside playing devil's advocate is the actual purpose of it wasn't to look at my trophy. It was, we want to collect data on deer growth, deer management, health in particular areas. And by submitting that, you're providing data. But it's gone away from that. I will be the first to say, you hear someone say it's a booner, they're going, look at me, I've got a big buck. I've got a Pope and Young buck. It's turned into a trophy, And
I think that's why I said it the way that I did, because I know lots of people that, it's all about getting, we have something else here in the Northeast, and it's Northeast Big Buck Club. It's actually a strain off of the whole Pope and Young or Boone and Crockett, and what that is it's the same thing. They have their own measuring system, and they measure, and then you get your name in the book, and their qualifications are a little bit lower, so it's 110 to get into their book. And when you shoot 110 inch, you get your name in their book, Northeast Big Buck Clubs, and then you also get you get the invitation to go to their yearly game dinner, so on and so forth.
Nice.
And then they'll have actual breakdown in the Northeast. Buck number 1 for Connecticut, buck number 1 for Massachusetts, New Hampshire, so on and so forth. But I found that a lot of people that I'm friends with that literally will go through and they want to get place number 1, place number 2, place number 3 just to see their name in the fucking book. And the thing with Northeast Big Buck Club is they actually have a shed side, that they actually measure sheds and they have a formula to do so. And these guys literally do it just to have their name in place 1, number 2, and number 3 to make themselves feel better.
Right.
And it's just bragging rights at that point. And that's like, why are we doing that? Like,
Yeah,
I think that we've come away from what this really is all about.
Yeah, you lose the entire purpose of going out into the woods and being alone and having that experience. And if you're fortunate enough, bring home some food. That's been lost.
And I think, honestly, like myself, I feel that like I've kind of gotten that tunnel vision of just wanting to shoot real big bucks. And I feel that, like, for example, like myself, like I'm so set on I want to shoot a 130 or a 140 or a 150 or just a Pope and Young, a 125. I'm so dead set on that. Like, it's kind of crazy.
I think you're looking at it from a different perspective, though. You're not doing it because you want to get something in there and say, look at me and bragging rights and all of that. You're doing that as progression in your hunting career. You're good at killing does. You're good at killing, what we consider out here good bucks, your 110s to 120s, because that's our average buck here. And you kind of just want to break that wall and get to that next level, because I'm right there with you. And it drives me crazy. I get hung up, and I passed some deer last year that I kicked myself in the ass over because they would have been the biggest deer I've ever shot, but I knew there was some bigger stuff around and I let them walk. And now I go, why?
You literally will ruin a whole season trying to do so.
Oh, I 100% will tell you right now, I ruined my entire season last year. I could have had 2 of the biggest bucks of my life, and I let them both walk because I got greedy and I wanted something big just for the sake of it being big. And guess what?
And that's
when my freezer started running low, I went, that was a dumb choice.
And that's literally what happens. And I find myself doing the same exact thing, like completely, like I shoot 2 does early season, fill the freezer, and then I'm like, all right, I'm after a big buck, after a big buck, after a big buck, or a target buck. And I mean, last year I was able to do it. The year before I wasn't.
Right. There's
and
never a guarantee.
Big deer. No, and that's the thing. And going back to what I was saying is that I was so dead set on trying to shoot big fucking deer, and now I go and I hunt with some other friends, and I literally will, for example, Captain Seth, he literally is on a whole different level where it's just that there's a good buck on public land. Like, that's his goal. Like, he doesn't care if it's a 130, 140, 150, if it's 100 inches, it doesn't matter. If it's a halfway decently mature good buck, then he's all about it. Like, it doesn't matter to him. And I love that fact, man. Like, I love the fact that he's kind of put that back into me, that that you don't need to shoot a giant, but to have the opportunity of shooting a halfway decent buck on public land is an achievement.
Exactly.
Whether it's a 6-pointer, an 8-pointer, but shooting a good buck on public land is a fucking achievement.
Yep.
Especially for us, and on the East Coast, I mean, it's not an easy thing. To shoot a 110 is a great buck for us. To shoot a 125 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
To shoot a 130 is out of this world, and we have a ton of friends in the Midwest, and, they're passing 130s every single week. Look for that one.
I think that's a big part of it too, is, I mean, if you look across the industry, you look at TV, you look at media and all of that, all these people are going to the Midwest or, Canada or northern Montana, and they're targeting areas that have big deer. That's normal. A 130 to them is a 110 to us. you know, or sorry, let me take that back. A 130 there would be like 90 inches to us.
Yeah.
You know, so they're kind of like, okay, not quite big enough. And I think we've just gotten out over here on the East Coast so ingrained with the hope that, oh, we're going to go do it like we see on TV and grow these giants and try to get these giants, which it is possible. I do know a few people who are very successful and have built properties that can do it. But for the average Joe, you know, that's going to be I'm going to go on a limb and say one every 10 years, you're going to get a shot at 130 inches if you're just out on public, just doing your thing.
And you know, you need to put yourself in those positions. So like I've honestly found myself growing, like where I've, you know, a ton of 80, 90, 100, 110 inch deer. Like that was my chase for the longest time. That's where I hung out. And that's where I found those deer that I wanted, was that area. But now I'm starting to find bigger deer, where like this week we went and we put in some cameras in an area, which I am super excited to get into. It's a piece of public, has a ton of apple trees that we found. And we literally jumped a deer out of a bed that was probably in the 140 class.
Right.
Real good deer. We're hoping to get him on camera, but that's that deer that I'm chasing. The place where we went in this year, there's some good deer in there. There's been a ton of 140s, 150s shot out of this spot. I am super excited to get in there. It's a fucking bitch to get in there, though. Let me tell you that much. This is an area where it's fucking crazy. I'll tell you what, man. We literally walked close to a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down a creek bed just to get there. Down a creek, knee deep in water, just to get where we needed to go to get into the swamp. I am not looking forward to getting in there. I'm not looking forward to go there hunting.
Well, see, that's what a kayak's for.
You can't. There's blowdowns down the whole fucking thing. It's crazy, man. Like
You're doing some straight Dan Infald shit.
It's insane, bro. I'll tell you that much. I mean, it's fucking nuts. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, we're going to have to wait or hunt to get in there. But that's where those areas where them big deer are. It's nuts. Like, you know, I've always been kind of lazy when it comes to that. And now starting to realize, like, to push myself to that next level from those 110s, 120s, even 90 to 100 inch deer to those next step, those 130s to 140s that I'm hoping to kill. You have to go above and beyond in somewhere that you would never feel comfortable going.
Right.
It's nuts. It's fucking nuts. And they are here. And everybody talked about how they were here. And I was like, yeah, I know they're here. I know they're here. But I never realized the amount of fucking work you have to put in to try and kill one of those deer. And they're fucking smart. They are smart. It's just nuts to me. It's just crazy. And going back on what we were saying before, as far as our Midwest friends and so on and so forth, when we shoot a 120, 125, like I had shot this year, which he may be a book buck, but I have no interest in measuring him, because I just don't want to break my heart as if he goes over and goes under. I don't really care. He was my first good buck. But those guys were so happy for me killing that deer. They were so happy. They were so pumped. And it didn't matter to them, that they shoot big fucking deer. They were like, wow, that's amazing deer for your area. You did a hell of a job. It was your target buck. It was cool. So, like, there is people out there, man, that, like, we all get tied up in that size of the deer. And I think it's more or less the story that comes behind it, what you put into it and what you get out of it. It's really not the inches on the deer. And I think that a lot of people have strayed away from that. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, I personally will not find myself chasing that inches. I just won't.
I think it's gotten to the point, especially with last year being as dry as it was, as far as, harvest. I've kind of set my standards back to reality. Yes, there's some opportunities at some giant deer, but if a nice deer that gets me going comes by, it's dropping. If I want a big deer, I mean, hell, we're going to Ohio.
I was going to say,
to basically answer that, hey, we want the chance at one of those big deer. So we're going to go out of state to a place that actually is known for big deer and try our luck there.
And I feel that we're going to be blessed with something, or the opportunity, or we're going to learn something from those things that we've done. With going to Ohio and going to Maryland and going to, me coming to Virginia and wherever else the road takes us this season, I feel that we're going to be blessed with something that we're going to learn. Last year, I was able to hunt in a couple different other states, and I was not successful. But the footage that I have from that and the shit that I learned about killing big bucks is phenomenal. You can't learn it anywhere else.
Yep.
I might not have punched a tag, but it's put me that much closer to try and put myself in a position where I can kill a big deer.
Well, yeah, you think about it, though. You guys spent, 7 days up there in a place where you could actually experience what it takes to get a deer of that caliber. And had you gone off in public land in a place like we're going without that knowledge, think about how much less prepared you would be. Whereas you have that knowledge now, so when we get there, you can apply that, because you've got a better idea.
So what Steve is kind of referring to, for those that are new and haven't really followed me through all this in the past, I had the opportunity to hunt a high fence area. So it was half of it I hunted high fence and half of it I hunted free range. And I'll tell you what, man. Watching big bucks do what big bucks do is one of the most fucking incredible things I have ever seen in my life. I had called in 2 bucks. I think the smallest one was 220 inches.
Right.
And he was a 3-year-old. I think he was a 2-year-old. And then there was another one that we called Double D, and he's probably 280 inches. He's 3.5, 4 years old. But I had him at 5 yards, and to see what those big bucks do and interact with other big bucks and calls and so on and so forth was fucking incredible. And literally learned a metric shit ton. Like, you want to see an actual scrape line, literally a fucking scrape line, and how they interact and fight and react to calls and so on and so forth. And this is an area that is not a normal high fence area by any means. Is this a normal high fence area? These guys literally manage big whitetails. We had to take scent crusher. All of our clothes go in a scent crusher closet. They all go into. You have to take a shower 3 times a day in a scent crusher. All your clothes that when they get dried or washed, they're actually in ozone washer machines or dryers. So like, and you literally can't go in there. It's 100% scent free. So it's a different type of high fence.
In that particular situation, they made you hunt as if it was highly pressured public land. And they don't, it's not the kind of place, from what I gathered from everything and talking to you guys, talking to G, it wasn't a, hey, if you go to this stand at this time to this feeder, 27 deer are going to come out and take your pick. It was a legitimate hunt. Right. You
don't hunt on feeders.
They're growing deer naturally on crops, on good food, just a healthy herd. And that's their thing.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And not even that. So with the free range side, the free range hunting was something else too, man. Like, I had a 150-inch whitetail at 60 yards. I mean, I'm sorry. He was at about 50 yards. And it was wide open. I was actually going to take the shot, but the doe turned and went the other way and took the deer off with him. I didn't have an actual vital shot at the time. So I actually I actually passed him until he turned around and went the other way. The deer was in the 150 class. And that was on free range side. I also had another deer in the 130 class that came underneath me at 20 yards. Looked right at me, and I was not ready at all. But to be in there in the rut and see what deer actually do, big deer do, under a managed situation where an actual outfitter is telling you like go to this stand and these deer are going to do X, Y, and Z, and they actually do X, Y, and Z, and understand how the wind on certain areas. So like at night you go in and you sit with Steve, and he'll say, all right, you want to go to this stand at this time with this wind, or he'll say to you, these are the winds and these are your stand options. And then to pick his brain and say, okay, so why am I going to this stand on a southwest wind? Or why am I going to this stand on a north wind? And really break that down, because I think for a lot of people, it's very tough to understand. And for me, myself, I mean, up until this day, I still have a tough time with it. Like, why am I going to this stand on a north wind? Or why am I going to this? Like, how does it work? Like, where's my, like, how do you make that prediction that those deer are going to come from this direction? And how is that wind good for this stand? You know what I'm saying? So to do that was something that educated me to now bring myself to a better place, if that makes any sense. Did I lose you?
Nope, you're good, man. You're good.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you kidding me? I went through all that and now I lose you? I was like,
nope, I'm just sitting back, taking it in, running the pictures through my head, going, yeah.
It's crazy, though. I mean, it's crazy to learn in that aspect, because I think a lot of people go into the sport and not understand why they're doing X, Y, and Z. They all read about it and they hear about it and they see it, but they don't actually know why we do it X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Right. No, it's tough to break a lot of that shit down, man. Like, it really is. And a lot of it I can't comprehend unless I see it physically. Or look at a map and see that the wind is running this way or that way. But how do you know that the beds are to the south of you and you need that wind? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you understand that? And that takes years to figure that shit out. Right. You can't just go into a place and say, oh, I think they're over here. Well, they very well could be. But yeah, and I think you never know. You know what I'm saying? That's really a good way to look at it. And again, like I said, until you're there and you experience it, then you'll never know. So instead of walking in blind in Ohio, you're walking in going, hey, I could probably put that to use, or I remember that, I'm going to do it this way. So it's a leg up. Absolutely. No, so it's just one of those things, man, and it's been a great thing. And I think, like I was saying, like, being so blessed to go and do that at in Ohio, it's one of those things where I'm excited, you know, and using those tools to our advantage and putting ourselves where we can potentially be blessed with such a great deer. But to me, it's the camaraderie of being with everybody and the learning experience. See, and that's going to be the fun part. Is I think we'll have a good time. We'll get a little goofy and a little wild, hanging out with Bones and doing our thing there. And after all of this crap, you know, we're just going to sit and bust each other's balls the whole time, you know, and if we get a deer, we get a deer. And that's what's going to make it fun, because we're just there for a good time. So, yeah, basically with that being said, we're going down a rabbit hole again. And I think we ought to shift. Yeah, in other words, we're going to be talking all night. Exactly. Well, that's all right. I mean, yeah, it really doesn't matter to me, but I guess it comes down to the listener if they actually give a shit. We should get back on track to the actual. We should get back onto the track where we need to be, though. Speaking of getting on track, we got something coming in. Oh shit! Yep. Go ahead and crank that thing up, Trev. All right, crank it up.
Hey everyone, Mike here with some news for your cruise. Let's kick this one off again with the Great American Outdoors Act, which was officially signed today, August 4th, by the President of the United States. The President stated, "We're here today to celebrate the passage of a truly landmark legislation that will preserve America's majestic natural wonders, priceless historic treasures, grand national monuments, and glorious national parks." I don't know about any of you, but I can't wait to see the improvements that are made on our public lands. It really can't be understated how great this is for all of our public lands moving forward. So let's move on to Montana, where anyone who applied for the 2020 Montana alternate list for hunting, Your draw number has now changed. This is due to an error with the system that numbered applicants in the order that they were received instead of randomizing the draw. The error has been corrected. So if you had checked as of about mid-July, your number has likely changed. Good for some applicants, not so good for others, but make sure to check to know where you stand on the list. Now off to Texas with an always controversial topic of antler restrictions. 2 years ago, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department established a 4-year mule deer antler restriction aimed at helping younger bucks mature. The restriction prohibits hunters from taking mule deer bucks with less than a 20-inch outside spread on their antlers. Now on the cusp of the third season, the antler restriction seems to be paying off, with 51% of the 2018-2019 harvests coming in at 5.5 and older bucks. The restrictions will continue through the 2021 season and will be reevaluated at that time. And now on to California, where the California Department of Fish and Wildlife is asking for the public's help, specifically hunters, but anyone in California. They're looking for help identifying cases of elk hoof disease. Elk hoof disease has been a known issue in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho in recent years, but after 2 cases were confirmed in April in Roosevelt elk in Del Norte County, the biologists are now trying to track the disease's presence in California. The elk hoof disease is commonly referred to as hoof rot and causes hoof deformity. The overgrown hooves damage the elk's ability to walk, leading to limping, lameness, and more oftentimes than not, death. And this is due to the elk becoming too weak to graze, to fight off other infections, and to escape predators. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife is asking the public, and especially hunters, for their help in identifying suspected cases. The department plans to collect hunter harvest data during the fall elk season in Del Norte and Humboldt counties. This would mean hunters would be requested to bring the head, liver, and all 4 legs intact to either the department office in Eureka or a manned check station at Lake Earl. Also, to report any possible infections, you can go to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife website and utilize their mortality reporting tool. So now off to Louisiana, where a new law is allowing nighttime hunting of nuisance quadrupeds year-round on private properties. This will apply to residents and non-residents and will require landowner permission. The new law took effect on August 1st, 2020. One caveat of the law is that hunters are required to contact the parish's sheriff's office 24 hours prior to attempting nighttime take of nuisance quadrupeds. So, what is a nuisance quadruped? Well, this law applies to feral hogs, coyotes, armadillos, nutria, and beavers. So, happy hunting to those in Louisiana. So now our last stop is on to Ontario, Canada, where the cormorant hunt is on. On 7/31, the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry announced that a cormorant hunting season has been approved. Finally, the hunting season is scheduled to run from September 15th through December 31st. This is great news, which is being applauded by anglers, hunters, and marine property owners who have long been demanding action for control of the ever-growing cormorant population. The cormorants have been long a concern due to property damage as well as depletion of the local fish stocks. As part of the regulations, hunters will not be allowed to abandon harvested birds, and there will be a bag limit of 15 birds per day. So shoot them up. So now here's my own shameless plug for the news segment. Today I've actually only had 2 listeners reach out with news clips. One that I've already thrown out there, one that's coming. I got to do a little more research on it. But I'd really like some input from the listeners. What you want to hear, what you like, anything. Please hit me up, Facebook, Mike Salter, or Instagram, bearded_bowhunter21. I'm doing this for you guys. I want to make it better. So anything you have, please send it my way. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
Fucking news for your cruise again. Mikey did it. The blind reporter. The BNN.
Blind News Network.
Mikey got his eyes dilated yesterday. We were sending him text messages, and he's like, I don't know if I can do the news for the cruise because my eyes are dilated and I can't read anything. And we were sending him text and he couldn't read the text neither.
So you mean this was his first time reporting as a Democrat? He can't see anything. He just tells what he hears.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I had to. I couldn't resist.
No, I love it. I love it. Oh, man.
Huh.
This is fucking crazy.
Well, in other good news, I guess you should really, you got to do something pretty fun here the other day. I'm a little jealous, but Kyle and them came up and they went out on the boat with you, dude. You got to walk us through that. All I saw was a couple pictures of some slammers. So,
yeah, so we haven't really released a lot of this stuff from it, but Proud Rookie Outdoors, Kyle Kaufman, his pap, and a good friend of his, Alex, came up and they spent 2 days with me. So we actually, thank God that we did, and we decided to fish 2 tides. So we fished a flood tide Friday night. I'm actually glad that we did, because if we didn't, we probably wouldn't have been able to catch the fish that we were after. Friday night, we got on a real good pile of fish. We were actually trolling snap and parachute jigs for a while with the charter boats, and we did really well. We got a ton of really good fish. They had put in some fish that were probably 15 to 20 pounds, and they were all jacked up, and I'm like, that's not what you guys came here for. They're like, no? I'm like, no. I said, that's not even close. And I said, well, I can't wait to watch you guys catch some real fish. So as the sun started to set, we started eeling over this reef, and a fucking melee broke loose. Our biggest fish was 46 pounds, a ton of fish over 35, a ton of fish over 40, and then our biggest one was 46. So it was something else, and we laced into them. They were stacked up like cordwood, and we definitely beat the shit out of them. And so they ended up staying in a hotel. I slept in the truck that night because we didn't make it back in until about 11 o'clock. Fueled up the boat, and then we were meeting back up to do 4 a.m. So we got back up, and we headed back out. And Saturday morning was tough for us. We had the flood tide. But what happens is on Saturday mornings, obviously, that's when all the charter boats are out. And we're in a little tiny skiff boat, and they've kind of like pushed us out off a lot of the reefs. So we didn't really get into them all that well. The bass, anyways, the striped bass. So we ended up taking off out of the reefs, and we went out to some deeper water, and we were actually jigging for sea bass. And we got a couple, nothing crazy. Tide was kind of petering out. With a lot of those, you definitely need the tide coming. But we got into a ton of stuff. They ended up catching a lot of different species. They were actually really excited because a lot of that they don't get to. They're from Pennsylvania, the western part of Pennsylvania, so they don't get to go to the Sound a lot and catch a lot of things. So they got sea robins and dogfish, and they got all kinds of crazy shit. We caught a squid. Kyle did.
Nice.
So he got to catch some cool things. We showed him around. They got to see a sunset and a sunrise. So that was kind of cool. But I was glad they were able to come up, and we were able to catch some really big fish. It was fun. I even got in on the action a little bit, so that was kind of cool. But it was cool to have some good friends up and take some time off and really beat on some fish. So, but it was cool, man. It was definitely something else to be able to catch those fish. And this time of year is when all the big fish start to show up here. We call it when the cows come home. And this is when we start seeing those fish in that 50-pound range. This is when we start seeing them fish in 55-pound range. This is when our big fish start to come around. So,
hell yeah. I know we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. You guys booked it to be up here, what, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd?
Yeah, man. we're going to be up there and we're going to slay it. Imagine that. We finally put a date to something.
Yeah, I know. Look at that, dude. Chad's going to kill us. But yeah, because we didn't put the deer camp one on it. I know.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, huh?
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, I mean, between all the hunts and everything, I don't even know. Like, I was thinking about it today. Like, are we even going to have a Connecticut deer camp, to be honest with you? Like, that's going to be tough.
I don't know. We're just going to kind of have to see where it is because, I'm skipping my usual Pennsylvania hunt for the Ohio hunt. And
that's right.
Making some arrangements. And that's actually, I think that's going to fall when we usually have our muzzleloader hunt here in Virginia. So I may skip that one as well. But we'll see how it all kind of plays out. Just, it's always dependent. Yeah. And you know what? This is an opportunity that, if we don't take it, I think we're going to end up kicking ourselves in the ass.
Yeah, especially the Ohio hunt. And I'm really looking forward to the Ohio hunt. I've been looking forward to that one for a while, but the one that I'm really looking forward to, honestly, is the Maryland Sika hunt.
Yeah.
That one is like the number one in my book. Actually, not even. Honestly, I have to say that we're going to kick off the fucking season in Virginia.
Yeah.
That's actually the one I'm looking forward to, and killing a big bear. But
wait, now you want a big bear? Your story's changing.
Just a bear. This is the thing. So like that, I really want the color phase, right? But I'm not going to be upset if I just shoot a bear.
Right. No, I don't blame you.
I really don't want a big bear. I'll be honest.
I don't want you to shoot a big bear because getting that sucker out of that mountaintop is a pain in the ass.
I'm saying I do not want to shoot a big bear. I'll be honest with you. Like, shooting a big bear is not on my things to do. And I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to pass one. I'm not passing a bear. But I just hope that it's not a big bear.
Right. Even if it is a big bear, we'll get it out. We'll make it happen. Done it once before. We got a pretty okay way of doing it now. The only difference is this time I'll get a sled. And
can we quarter them up there?
Yeah, we can do it all on the spot. For the most part, I've got to recheck the rate. I know they changed some stuff. It used to be you had to take it out whole and haul it to a check station whole.
Okay.
So I know they've made some adjustments. I need to read up and make sure I've got my I's dotted and T's crossed so we don't screw ourselves. But I think we can now quarter them. But
okay,
I'll have that information time you get here. And then
that's crazy.
I will say, if the one that walked through my front porch day before yesterday, I think it was Sunday. Yeah, we were literally sitting on the couch, relaxing, watching some TV at about 3:30 in the afternoon. And I look out the window, and we probably had I'm going to say 300 pounder. It's hard to tell. Just literally jaunted, 10 feet from the window, right through the lawn, right out the front yard, right out the gate.
Wow.
So that was always fun. I grabbed the camera and tried to get out and film him, but I think when I opened the door, he hauled ass because I could hear the neighbors going, "Oh no, he ran off into the woods."
Jesus. Yeah, I couldn't imagine what to do with a 300 pounder. I do not want the taxidermy bill from that thing. I do not want that. I know what that costs, and I am not looking forward to spending it.
What do you mean?
You're talking
$150 a foot?
Yeah, you're talking that's a $2,200 to $2,500 mount.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fucking tag in another state. That's a, to be honest with you, the mount for that thing is the cost to go hunting with Austin Chandler in Illinois.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Now you see why I've got a European skull and the claws.
I might just do a trapper's tan and a skull mount.
Yep. That's on it. Well, that's actually kind of what I did. Is I've got a do-it-yourself at-home tan of the hide. That I'll tell you one thing: I'll never try to self-tan a bear hide again. I can do deer and elk all day long, but the grease in a bear hide, I highly recommend. If you ever want to try it, don't send it to a tannery.
Yep. Yeah, it's cheap enough to just do it. So just send it off to somebody is definitely a better chance.
So I have it, but it's not pretty.
No.
It's just totally hard and crumbly, and you can tell the spots that you couldn't get all the grease out. I mean, I ran that thing pretty much as far as I dared go before the hair started letting loose in a lot of places. So use a tannery.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Yeah, just use a tannery. There's a ton of them. Fox and Mink, Moyle and Mink. There's US Tan. There's a million of them out there. If you guys need to know one, just let me know. Send me a PM and I'll send you one to a national one. You guys can send them as hunters. So, it's definitely way easier than having to do that shit on your own. It's no joke. But no, so have you gotten any deer cams out?
We got a couple out on the property we turkey hunted, but this year, instead of putting them down below, we put 2 way up on top of that mountain. So we had to, I'm not going to say we hiked back up it. We cheated. We took the golf cart and four-wheeled up the trail. And once we were on top, we hiked back into some bedding and some other stuff that we'd found early season while we were shed scouting, and got those up. And then we did you go back to like where the farm pit is back there? Like the graveyard? No, we haven't put anything back there yet, mainly because we gained a lot of that info last year. So we know it's a good spot. We're just going to kind of leave it be until season comes.
Yeah.
The only other spot was that spot I took you down by that cornfield down in the bottom where we worked those 6 jakes on the fence line, where it just kind of, there's that narrow finger of trees between the CRP and the corn. And we did put one up right there. So,
see, my thing is, I don't think that I could walk through the woods in your land this time of year to go put out fucking cameras.
It's not easy. I'll put it that way. And then finding a good spot that's open enough to make it worth putting a camera out is even harder.
I wouldn't even be worried about that. The fucking snakes is what I'd be worried about.
Funny enough, and out there, especially on that mountain, the copperheads is one thing that I'm always looking for. But I've, knock on wood, still never ran into one out there. Hell, I've never ran into one here at the house. The only times I've ever seen them is down by the river.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Well, when I come out bear hunting, don't put me anywhere near none of that shit.
Oh, no. By that time of year, especially here, we've got king snakes and things like that. And as long as you see them, I guess up here, most people refer to them as black snakes. They're actually a rat snake.
The black rats, yeah.
Yeah. They actually will keep the poisonous snakes out. They will eat the poisonous snakes if they come around. So I do my best to just relocate them if I find them around the house. But I like having them around for that purpose, and I've never seen a poisonous snake around anywhere on the property. So
that's good. That's all right. Black snakes don't really. I mean, I hate snakes, petrified, but I just don't want to see them. I'm fine with that.
Like, it's shocking like that when you step in. It's like, oh crap, there's a snake, and then you realize, oh, it's just a black snake. No threat. They're not aggressive. The only thing is when you try to move them, they make that musky ass smell, and it reeks.
Does it really?
Oh, dude. When those things spray their musk, it's like, whew. You've been near a black snake.
I didn't even realize it,
But yeah, other than that, I don't even mess with them if they're in a place I don't want them, or near the chicken coop. I don't want them getting the eggs or something like that.
Roger.
I'll get a stick and I'll just kind of lightly move them, work them, get them out towards the back field or the front field or just somewhere away from the house, just because I don't want to accidentally walk into my basement one day and have one piled up in there.
Yeah, that's never good.
So
I'm totally against that.
I think you'll be all right as far as snakes go for the bear hunt.
Oh, it's just one of those things, it's always in your mind.
Yeah. Well, the way your luck goes is black snakes like trees too. So.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Just to add some more to the paranoia.
That's totally great, man. Totally great.
Nah, you'll be fine, man.
No, so we actually don't have a guest today.
Yeah. This is us.
Yeah.
And they're
we're
kind of
definitely
stuck with us.
Yeah, that's okay. They dig us. We don't get to catch up on a lot of these things anymore, man. Things are, and I'll tell you, last week was phenomenal. It was probably one of the best episodes I've ever done as far as podcasting goes, to have Kurt on. And
Oh yeah.
I think that we needed that break, because I don't think that anything could top what was done there. And a lot of you guys have, I appreciate. I was getting a lot of really positive feedback and conversation from a lot of people that I hadn't talked to in a while, that were listeners of the podcast prior, and now came onto this podcast, and I didn't even realize it. And I thank you guys for the continued support and the love, and reaching out to Steven and myself, because that shit really goes miles with us, and a lot of people. Like Reinhardt has been a really good friend of mine throughout this whole entire thing, man. And the words that he had said to me after this had all came out was huge. There was a couple of listeners that I didn't even know were listeners from the past that came over and listened to us here, and they reached out and they wished us the best of luck. And you guys are the ones that make this all possible. You guys are the fuel to the fire for us. And being able to conversate and talk about all these things and reach home for us. You guys are that, man. And if it wasn't for you guys, then we wouldn't have a podcast. It's not about sponsors, it's not about us. It's really about the people that that listen to us and support us throughout our crazy endeavors. It was funny, speaking of crazy, Seth's son Owen, I don't know if anyone's seen this or not, but on my Instagram story, we had brought Owen out yesterday when we were scouting.
Oh yeah, and he found the beds. You guys didn't do any work.
He found the beds. Yeah, I know. I was looking at the apple trees, and I hear, I found the beds. Now he's 3.5 years old, so I went in there and I was looking, and he calls me Crazy Trevor. So
Fitting.
I mean, it's fitting. So it was cool to have him and have that. That next generation with us, and he's learning a ton, and he's going to be a fucking killer. That kid is going to be a killer. His sister is actually going to be a fucking killer too. They were raised right, and they're learning a ton. And we tell them all the time, when you're our age, you're going to be killing big bucks because you've been doing it for such a long time. And he's something else. He brought his Nerf gun. He wanted to shoot the big buck that we jumped. But
nice.
It's just cool. Those things, the supporters and the next generation, I think, is what kind of fuels why we do what we do, and kind of give us that ambition to keep moving forward. So
for sure,
thanks to you guys. I know it's kind of, I don't want to get sappy, but it's kind of cool. And especially after the last podcast, it was kind of one of those things that's kind of like a reinsurance that, there still is a lot of love out there.
Oh, so, definitely. And
we appreciate it.
We got the love from our listeners. We got the love from some working classes listeners. Just, I mean, I don't think people quite realize that, we're a close knit family. I mean, we love those boys, and they give us some support, and they constantly in contact, just great all around people. And just seeing that and feeling that, knowing you're a part of that, makes us want to sit here and keep being idiots for you guys to listen to.
And I think, we talk about it all the time, and it's not only working class, it's Whitetail Distraction, it's Where to Hunt, it's Whitetail Legacy, it's, Full Draw Assassins, it's Rack Rage, it's, there's a lot of groups of people that are out there, Bowhunter Chronicles, Chasing Tails, there's a million of them. Every podcast.
I guess the way to say it is when I say family, I'm talking about the podcast community, the hunting podcast community as a whole. It's not just one, like you're saying. It's all of them. They've jumped on our show. We've jumped on their shows. And it's just constantly, hey, what do you think of this idea? Or how'd you do that? Or, what can we do? Or, hey, we think you should try this. Or, it's constantly interaction to make everyone better. Yeah, and that's what's
absolutely
fun.
And working together with all these people and collaborating and bouncing ideas off of and those are the people that that are the future of this, and working with everybody, and seeing all these new podcasts popping up everywhere, which is fucking great. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Well, I mean,
I don't
look
know
at
any
Cliff.
names off the top of my head, but
I mean, Cliff's the perfect
Urban
example.
Archery NYC. Yeah, Cliff is a great friend of ours. Somebody that, you know, I look up to and I talk to all the time. He's got great shit going on over there. He's gonna definitely put a stamp on the industry. I think what he does and what he believes is huge.
Well, that and he's taken a perspective that, I mean, anyone who listened to our show with him, you know, that's really going to lay out how, why, where, when, you know, his situation and why he wanted to do a show. And there's not a more generous, real world dude than him when it comes to this. In a place that it doesn't happen, in a culture where it's not expected, and to just go out with his drive. I mean, it's great. I mean, I had a blast.
Absolutely.
I was doing some graphics work a couple of weeks ago, and I came across some stuff and some different ideas, and I was like, dude, that screams Cliff. And just laid this thing out, and was like, I got to send these to you. He's like, all right, kick them over. I sent it to him, and just, it was nice going, here's some stuff that I see fits you, you know, and to be able to do that for him. So
yeah, and all of us working together. And you know, you brought up a valid point. Nikki from the Zeus team. Those guys that's family right there. Those guys, I have never been to a trade show when those guys are there and not felt like I was at home. They treat you like best friends, like family. It's a hug, you know what I'm saying? And they're something else. I mean, there's a ton of people, and it's incredible to be able to talk to those people and work with those people and just kind of lean on those people when you need to collaborate with things. And, you know, going back on the working class thing, in my opinion, working class has been somebody that set a bar for us. There's somebody, especially for myself. I mean, in the beginning of this, like we said in before, like just talking to them and bouncing ideas off of Kurt, like when we wanted to start a podcast. Kurt was the first person that I talked to. How do I do this? Who do I go to? Where do I go? How do I do this? What do I need? And we was there for me. So the community is a great community. And one thing that I can say honestly, 100%, if you are to DM us on any of our social media, Outdoor Drive on Facebook or Instagram, or if you Outdoor Drive Steve or East Coast Trev on our Facebooks. Oh, that's right, you don't have one. On our Instagrams and my Facebook, I will have a full-on conversation with you. I am not afraid to talk to anybody. I will chat with you. You want to come fishing? We'll make it fucking happen. You want to talk about hunting? You need a strategy, or you need help, or you have a thought? Do not feel that you cannot reach out to us and have a conversation. I will have a conversation with you just like I would anybody else in my life. Sure.
Yeah, and funny
Don't
enough,
be afraid for 1 minute.
Some of those questions and random things like that, they turn out into some pretty cool deals, you know, going back and, I mean, looking at Salter. Yeah, we sat for probably 2 weeks back and forth working on issues he was having with arrows. And by the end of it, Mike had built his own set of perfectly tuned arrows that matched his bow. And I mean, that was kind of fun, just bullshitting back and forth, trading ideas, you know, taking some stuff that I knew versus stuff he wanted to try and just finding a way to make it work and for it to actually work. I mean, it's fun, you know.
And speaking of when it comes to Mike, news for your crews, guys. As he had called you out in the news, please send in your news. We want to know what's going on in your state, what you're seeing, because Mike is only one person getting the news for your crews. We need to spread this information out to everybody. So if you see or hear something, please send it to Mike. Send it to myself. Send it to somebody. Get that information out there. Mike needs that stuff for news for your crews, guys. And we encourage every single one of you to please give us that information so we can spread it out to everybody else of what's going on out there.
So with that being said, I want to make a call out because there's one dude who I fully believe can come up with some stuff that I kind of want to hear, because we've never heard anything from California. So I want to hear about some local stuff, Caterpillar. Send us something over from your neck of the woods. I know you guys got season coming up real quick. Yeah.
Matt Burns is another California dude.
Yep.
Send it. We want to hear about it, man, especially in the liberal world you live in. Sorry.
You know, and what'd be really cool is, you know, I would like to start getting some reports from the field down in Florida where the season's already open.
Yeah.
So
Alabama
anybody
too.
down there, if you guys are hunting, kick us that information.
Devin in North Dakota, they're about to kick off their velvet season. It's about to kick off here in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So we want to hear that shit. Fucking let us know, man. Send us pictures, tag us and shit, man. We need that. We want that. It's definitely important.
At the end of the day, if you don't tell us, we can't talk about it.
That's it, man. We want to spread it to everybody. We want everybody to know what's going on. I mean, in the fishing industry, in the hunting industry, we want to know everything. Especially when it comes to news and the new things coming and going. We need to all stay alert and stay on top of what's going on. Speaking of what's going on, so I don't forget, Sean Polk, Connecticut native, Team Hang and Bang has actually started or in the process of starting a QMDA here in the state of Connecticut. And I was appointed to help him out. Or actually I volunteered and told him he didn't really have enough. QDMA. What did I say?
QMDA.
What did I say? Oh,
I know QDMA. You're excited. You're good.
I kind of forced my way into it, but we're about to start a Connecticut chapter. So if anybody is interested in being involved with us, please reach out. Get me your email address. Send it to Sean Polk or myself. I would get it in the hands of the regional guy. We're looking the end of August to do a Zoom meeting to kind of get things underway. We have 36 pending email addresses right now of people that are interested. So that's huge. So that's going to be the next step here for us in Connecticut. So if you guys are local and you guys are interested in being involved, please send me your email address and we'll get you involved and we'll get you in on the Zoom meeting for the end of the month. So
that's actually awesome timing. So congrats guys with the Great American Outdoors Act money. You guys could probably really get some big stuff done.
Really? I didn't realize that. What's up with that?
So the way it's going to affect all of the public land stuff, access, cleanups, I know we have certain WMAs here. I don't know if you guys are the same way up there that actually has some ag on there. So,
we do. We have them. Yep.
Yeah. So benefiting or doing soil work or helping the crops or cutting in new plots or whatever, you can use some of that money out of projects to either match from like Land Water Conservation Fund or whatever, as well as state designated money to increase the QDM of the public land, as long as you're working with Forest Service and Game and Fish and et cetera.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really good. I like it. And that new act, Trump passed that this week.
Yep. Signed it all, did the legal signing ceremony today.
That's awesome.
And then handed out all the pins and all of that. I've never been interested in wanting a pin after a presidential signing anything, but that's one pin I would have gladly taken.
For sure. Absolutely. That's so badass. That's so cool. I'm so happy. And that's for us, for the people that, for the conservationists. Finally, something good coming back to us, because they've always taken, but they've never given. So it's kind of incredible to have it.
It's probably the biggest conservative in terms of not politics, conservative in terms of preserving nature, action taken since Teddy Roosevelt.
That's fucking awesome. That's huge. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. And this will probably, I'd imagine right now we are booked with podcasts well past Connecticut opener. in September. So this will probably be one of the last, unless we have a cancellation, but this will probably be one of the last podcasts that we'll do before we end up before we end up killing.
Right, as far as just us bullshitting.
Yeah, us bullshitting for sure. Yeah, because we have lined up all podcasts lined up until the end of September. At this point, I will promise you this though. When we start dropping animals, we will probably end up adding bonus episodes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have story time
for sure. So those things will definitely happen. That's one of the things that you guys can definitely look forward to, and something that I think I will definitely hold to. If we start dropping animals, that we will actually have special bonus podcasts for Steven or myself to tell the story on what happened.
For
especially
sure.
a target buck. Especially a target buck. Or, when we're down in Virginia in October, because that's going to be the first in opening season in Virginia is going to be our first hunt for our tour. So,
yep. Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet.
I'm looking forward to it. You guys are going to come up fishing, so that would be cool. We'll podcast a ton when we're up here. Maybe we can correlate it. Garrett was supposed to come up and fish too, so we'll see what happens. But
that's what we ought to do, because I know between Garrett and Drew and all of them, we just get all of our heads together and try to get a night out and just you put all four of us on a boat and see what the hell happens.
Oh, great. Yeah.
We may not make it back.
We're going to need a bigger boat and our floaties. Speaking of boats, so this whole entire time, as you guys all know, I've been sitting here in a fucking boat launch parking lot. People, go back to school and get your fucking driver's licenses. Are you fucking kidding me? This lady, all right, I'm just going to paint it for you. So I had to go there. So this lady just showed up in an Audi fucking SUV. So obviously it's like the end of the world here. The fucking trees are everywhere. There's no power, so on and so forth. This lady just drove through the parking lot with half a fucking tree sticking out of the grill of her car. Like, what are you doing? Watching these fucking idiots back up their boat trailers? Are you kidding me now?
Dude, those are blooper reels all day long.
Oh my God, dude. COVID? You don't need fucking COVID. They just ate your brain out because you can't back up a fucking trailer. What the hell is going on?
One of my all-time favorite things to do is watch people with nice fancy equipment and cars and gear and boats and attempt to back it up. Something so stupid simple that we learned growing up at 6.
Oh my God, man. You got a brand new 2500 Sierra GMC pickup truck and a brand new fucking Element boat, and you can't even back it down the boat launch? What are you doing?
I think that should be a requirement before you buy a boat. You should have to back up a trailer down a launch.
This guy's about to put it in the fucking woods. I wish I could record this right now. He almost just put that thing in the woods. And not to add, so stop. Yep. Okay, good. So anyway, so there's another truck, and it's 2-lane boat launch, and literally the guy is taking up the middle of the boat launch. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. It just, I don't know. It is what it is. It's something that we've done our whole life, so it's one of those things. Funny thing is, the last time I sat in this parking lot, I watched, because I used to come down here for lunch a lot of the times and sit down here, but I watched a guy with a roller trailer with his boat. It was the first time he ever, and I felt absolutely horrendous for this guy. But he went to go back up his boat, and he disconnected the boat completely from the trailer, and he went to go back it up. And when he did, the rollers, and he hit the brakes for the first time, and the boat fucking went right across all of the concrete and took out the bottom transom of the lower end of the motor. Well, the thing is that the older gentleman retired, and he bought the boat so that he could spend time with his grandson and bring him on the boat. Well, his grandson was coming to visit him from down south, and he was going to take him out on the boat. Well, he was coming to practice backing the boat into the water.
Yeah, at least he was going to practice.
Well, he was there to practice, and with the roller, he actually he sent it down and ripped the lower end off of the boat. But he was here to practice. I felt so bad for the guy, man, and I gave him my number and shit, and I hooked him up with my mechanic, and they were able to fix the boat. But I felt horrible for the dude. Jeez. But yeah, that shit happens here all the time. It's crazy. Fucking hilarious. But crazy. Yeah, the worst holidays are the best. I literally don't go out on my boat on the holidays. I just go to the parking lot just to watch these idiots destroy theirs. So it's just way funny. Way funnier. But fucking A.
Oh, that's wild.
Yep. That's the good things. But it's good, man. You try. People just, they just amaze me every time. I don't get it. Fucking A, man.
Well, brother.
Any big plans for the rest of the week?
Oh, work. I may get another camera or two out. Hooked up the tractor to the disc today, so I'll probably start turning over the food plots and try to get them planted here mid-August, since they're calling for a decent amount of rain for us, so should have pretty good crops this year. And other than that, switch the bow back to the heavy arrow setup and getting it all tuned and tied in and ready to start slaying some shit.
Oh yeah, man. Same here, man. Just kind of doing the due diligence, getting the cameras out, doing a little bit of fishing, had a little bit of time off, getting ready with the bow, shooting a ton, and just getting ready for the season, man. I am super, super pumped for the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. That's for sure. Well,
hell yeah, man.
I don't know about you, but feels like we're winding down a little bit. We probably ought to take it out of cruise control and get ready to Parker. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I would say you probably want to get home, but you still don't have power, so I'm sure you got shit to deal with.
Yeah, I got a text message that this refrigerator generator is not working, so I got to go home and deal with that shit. I'm not looking forward to it, but
well,
hopefully get power sooner than later.
Yeah, I think it'll come around. And in the meantime, anybody who's got extra crap they want to send Trev to help out. He's a needy case right now. No, I'm just kidding. He's good to go. The freezers are full. The freezers are full. It's just like camping or being in deer camp. This doesn't bother me at all. I could care less about the power as long as the fridge stays cold and the freezer stays cold. I could care less about the rest. So. Yep, I agree. So
actually, funny story. Trev's blooper, real quick. I will bring that back when those things occur. So yesterday, I have a little tiny butane stove that I use when I'm camping and hiking, and we were cooking up venison hot dogs and beans, because obviously we weren't ready for this. But anyways, so I hook up the generator. We don't have, funny thing before I get into this, we don't have a fucking manual can opener. Everything I have for a fucking can opener is electric. So I had to hook up the generator just to open the fucking can, by the way, which was the craziest thing because we have an electric can opener. But so anyway, so I had the butane stove and I'm messing with it, but I couldn't get it to lock in the butane can, and it kept spraying out fucking butane. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I finally start the thing and I get it all good, this, that, and the other thing. And the thing fucking lights up and then explodes. Like all the gas that had been trapped underneath it fucking lit on fire. So my instinct is like, I don't want it to blow up in the house. So I grab a hold of it. Now my arm hairs are all singed and all I can smell is burning fucking hair. And I throw it in the sink and I just hit it with the water real quick and just completely stop the whole entire thing. But fuck, dude, it stunk like burnt hair forever. It was nasty. But we're good now. Everything's good. So that's a good funny. Trev's bloopers for you guys. And as the season goes on, I'll give you better ones. So.
Yeah, I got a feeling we'll have more to come.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. So
good times,
why don't you close her out, Big Steve?
I guess I could do that. So thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for putting up with our bullshit as we just kind of hang out and chew the fat. It's always fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it and were entertained. If not, let us know. And we'll still probably keep doing exactly what we're doing, but input is nice. So till then, go ahead, Trev.
Oh, real quick, if you guys haven't had the chance, please go on to our iTunes or and give us a 5-star review. Subscribe to iTunes, subscribe to Spotify, whatever you're listening to, please, so you don't miss out on anything if we do give you bonus episodes. But please, we would love a 5-star review. Add us on Instagram, Facebook, any social media you can find us. Our YouTube page, it's kind of got a little bit of shit going on, and it's only going to get more as the season progressively goes on once we start killing some things and we get some good fishing footage on there. So don't forget to do that. Please don't forget it. And the people that we're partnered with, go and check them out, man. Give them a little love, support, and all the other podcasts. Subscribe and go and visit those guys too. They need our love just as much as they need your love just as much as we do.
For sure. Well said. And yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot more coming, especially on YouTube. So like, follow, subscribe, share, do whatever you can do there. It helps us out and helps keep it going. And in the meantime, we want to thank you guys for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.
Outdoor Drive.